Your money. But you don't. Your job. You think you know what you're looking at. You've written one. Look at your hands. But if I asked you to draw a bicycle from memory, could you? You think you know how a bicycle works. Not really. Most people can't. They get the frame wrong, the chain placement, the pedal alignment. And that's just a bicycle. And yet, you've seen bicycles your whole life. What about the things that actually shape your life, your future, your relationships? You think you know how they work. This is called the illusion of explanatory depth. But here's the uncomfortable truth. You probably don't. You make decisions, and yet, you walk through life believing you understand. You form opinions. Psychologists Stephen Sloman and Philip Fernbach have shown that when people are asked to rate their understanding of everyday objects, they give themselves high scores. But when they're asked to actually explain how those objects work, step by step, their confidence crumbles. But you don't have the details. It's a cognitive bias that makes you overestimate how much you understand the world around you. You have a general idea, the zipper, the toilet, the smartphone, the economy. You argue with strangers on the internet, but an illusion nonetheless, all based on an illusion, a comforting illusion. It takes time because your brain is lazy. Well, not lazy exactly. Instead, your brain relies on shortcuts. It uses heuristics. Efficient. Understanding something deeply takes effort. Why does this happen? It confuses familiarity with knowledge. Your brain evolved to conserve energy. It takes mental bandwidth, but you can't. If you can imagine a concept, your brain assumes you can explain it. If you've heard a term before, your brain assumes you understand it. And this works remarkably well most of the time. You don't need to understand how a combustion engine works to drive a car. We think as a group. You don't need to understand monetary policy to buy groceries, not as individuals. And that's enough. This is what the anthropologist Edwin Hutchins calls distributed cognition. Your brain outsources the heavy lifting to experts, to systems, to the collective, until it's not. So when you think you know something, what you really know is that someone somewhere knows it. Because the modern world has changed the game. Every question has an answer a click away. You feel smarter. You feel more informed. You confuse access for understanding. But here's the paradox. The more information you consume, the less you actually understand. You now have access to more information than any human in history. You confuse the map for the territory. You confuse data for wisdom. It's a feature. This isn't a bug in your brain. Nobody can know everything. We specialize. We cooperate. It allows society to function. We build on each other's knowledge. And here's the twist. The real uncomfortable truth. That's why we have medicine, technology, and civilization. It makes you vulnerable. But this feature has a dangerous side effect. You can't tell the difference between a real expert and charlatan. You can't tell the difference between a genuine insight and a seductive falsehood. If you don't actually understand something, you can't evaluate whether an expert is telling you the truth. This is how you get manipulated. This is how misinformation spreads. This is how you end up believing things that aren't true and defending them with confidence. Because you don't know what you don't know. That's the uncomfortable truth. And you're not even aware that you don't know it. Think about your social media feed. You scroll. You see opinions. You see headlines. You think you understand the issues of the day. They reinforce your illusion. Algorithms serve you what you already believe. But what you're really seeing is a curated stream of outrage and affirmation. You feel informed, but you're just echoing. You're just performing knowledge. You're not grappling with nuance. You're not actually engaging with complexity. And the more you consume, the more confident you become. You're consuming simplified narratives that fit your worldview. But confidence is not competence. Feeling right is not being right. The psychologist David Dunning has shown that the least competent people are often the most confident. They don't know enough to know they don't know. They sound convincing, so they sound certain, and you believe them. So what do you do about it? And that's okay. First, admit it. If not, you don't really understand it. You don't know as much as you think you do. Third, seek out perspectives that challenge you, to discover your blind spots, not to win arguments. Second, start asking how and why. Real wisdom begins with the recognition of your own ignorance. It's not comfortable, but it's the only way to actually know anything. When you encounter a claim, ask yourself, could I explain this to someone else in detail? So I'll leave you with this. Take a moment. What do you think you know that you might not actually understand? Really think about it, because that's where your growth begins.